Welcome back to functional running therapy. Now, a couple of days ago I put an article and a video out talking about running physics, and in that video I chatted about some of the forces that go through our body when we're out running. So how gravity pushes into the ground, how ground reaction force equals an opposite and equal force moving upwards. So every time our foot hits the ground, we're actually hitting the ground with around 1.8 to 3 times our body weight every step. And if you're running marathons or even ultra marathons, it's around 55 to 60,000 steps in a marathon. So if you think every time I'm hitting the floor I weigh about 82 kilos, I'm dealing with 160 kilos every time my foot hits the ground. Yeah? Over the course of a marathon, your body is dealing with tons and tons of weight. So it's about a couple of metric tons, 2 to 3 metric tons of weight over the course of a marathon. I think I worked it out as. That is a lot, alright? So running is very demanding, okay? And the faster you run, the more force you put through the floor. So the more conditioned you need to be to help you cope with those forces. So leading on from the physics video, I kind of had a think and I thought, what is like a hot topic in the running community today? And kind of chatting to the guys, like Natterjacks, and trying to get a little bit more knowledge about kind of trainers and how the kind of footwear giants are looking at this issue at the moment. It kind of seems a pretty apt thing to talk about. So the trend at the moment seems to be moving towards letting the foot kind of do its thing a little bit more. Okay, letting the bones in the foot actively move, and finally I think the footwear industry has really opened their eyes and they've said, actually, this pronation thing is not such a bad idea after all. Alright, so where it was kind of a bit of a no-no before, now it's kind of an accepted part, and the shoe wear industry, or the shoe industry, running shoe industry, is kind of actively encouraging us to go through pronation now. So the last email I sent was entitled Why God Wants Us to Pronate, and nothing to do with religion. It's basically looking at how our body is designed to go through that job of pronation. So remember, pronation is your foot kind of falling down and in, alright? So it's kind of that movement. Your medial arch flattens out, your foot spreads, and it's actively part of our shock absorption system, alright? So if that's not happening, then we're not as good as we could be absorbing that ground reaction force and that 1.8 to 3 times our body weight every time our foot hits the floor. And that is what is responsible for majority of running injuries that I see in the clinic certainly, and what's kind of been studied in a lot of the research as well. So let's look at the foot. So did a bit of an article the other day and kind of went through the anatomy of the foot. If we look at how the foot is made up, we have this big plantar fascia which kind of lengthens and loads as we drop into our medial arch, foot rolls to the inside and spreads. Alright? So that is there to kind of allow us to go into the motion but control how quickly we go into the motion. Alright? We also have our heel bone. When our foot hits the ground, we land kind of around the outside of our heel, either midfoot or on the heel, and then we roll from there down towards the ball of the foot where we push off from our 2 big toes. And the push-off mechanism from our 2 big toes is called the windlass mechanism, and I'll reference an article by James Dunn from Kinetic Revolution. He wrote a really good one with a bit of a video piece on what the windlass mechanism is and how it kind of dictates how well we run and how powerful we are when we run. Now, if we didn't pronate when our foot hit the floor, that mechanism would not exist. Yeah? We have to go through pronation in order for us to transfer weight from the outside of our foot into the inside of our foot, to put pressure through the ball of our foot and our 2 big toes. Alright? If we didn't pronate, I think God would have designed us differently, or evolution, or whatever it is you believe in, and put our 2 big toes on the outside of our foot. So we take off from there. Alright? Also, muscles in our calf. Because of the attachment site to the Achilles tendon and the way our posterior tibialis, which is a deep muscle which runs around the inside and spreads up over our foot, they are there to actively cope with the shin bone coming down and in slightly to load and pull you back out. Alright? So they are made up to allow us to go through what's called internal rotation, That knee coming down and in, lengthens and loads all these muscles, catch us and pull us out to drive us forward. Okay, so if we think about how the body's designed, it's like a spiral system. So if I turned everything off and went limp, my body wants to rotate that way and fall. Okay? That is how we're designed. We're designed to use that mechanism to absorb force and bring us back out. Now, where the problems arise, and what I'm seeing an awful lot in the clinic at the moment, is people not being able to control this motion. Alright, they can get into it well, they can't get out of it very well. So what I see is, if I get somebody to single leg squat, if you just look at the point of my knee, I see this a lot. Yeah? But people are dropping down and in really fast. They can't control the arch collapse in their foot, and they're getting problems because of that. And that's a pretty much good indicator of runner's knee, where that iliotibial band tendon is getting compressed on the outside of the knee, lateral hip pain, even medial knee pain, where your medial collateral tendon is getting annoyed because it's being overloaded too fast, and even stuff like calf strains and tears and plantar fascia pain. Alright, so it's our inability to control that. Now, we don't want to stop that from happening, alright, because it is part of our efficient shock absorption system. Alright, so if that doesn't happen, we're not as good runners, in fact. So what we do want is, we do want it to happen, so we do want our knee to come down slightly to the midline of our body, but we want to do it under control. So if I was looking at a client and they did this, the speed with no control, that's not a good thing. If they did this, that's lovely. Alright, so they are getting that little bit of internal rotation. Their foot is flattening out as they squat, but they're able to go there, come back out with it safely. Which says to me, they're able to turn all the big muscles on in their hip, their hamstrings, their quads, and all the muscles on in their calf effectively, and come back out. Alright, so all our muscles in our legs and our hip, if you think about the way our glutes wrap around, they are designed to cope with that internal rotation process and pronation, which all starts at the foot. So next time, we're going to have a little look at the hip, but today we're going to take you through a couple of exercises that will help you get better at controlling pronation and kind of wake your foot up a little bit and wake the muscles up in your calf to kind of help you cope better with ground reaction forces, hopefully make you better runner, so stay tuned. Okay, now the way we kind of structure these exercises, alright, if you're having trouble controlling that dropping in movement, could be because of lack of strength in your hip, like a foot dysfunction or even like a calf dysfunction, then you need to go through these really slow and controlled. Alright? Obviously, when we run, we're only in contact with the ground for around 4/10 of a second, so it's over like that. Okay, so building up speed gradually to make it more like running is something that's going to help you. But to start you off, you want to get a good, smooth, controlled motion going first. Okay, so really slow. It might take you like 3 or 4 seconds in, 3 or 4 seconds out. So what we might do is follow our weight on our right foot, toe touch with the left foot, and all we might do is just go into like a squat, but just look to the left. Okay, so you might go into like a little squat on the right leg, look to our left. Now that look with our head, it's going to drive our knee down, and it's going to drive everything to rotate left. Okay, so you might go really slow, come back up, really slow, come back out. And then if you're coping with that, and you're able to get everything going, I can really feel my calf loading here, and my soleus and my post tib. If that's good, you can just start adding a bit of pace there. So you can just look away, and then you can just build in some speed, and get that going. Alright, now what I'll do, I'll kind of start to get motion going through your foot, it'll start to get motion going through your calf, but you're going to do it under control. Okay, so start off really slow, about 3 seconds down, 3 seconds back up, 3 seconds down, 3 seconds back up, and then when you get better, you can increase the pace, and you can even take out of the foot off the floor. Okay, so give that one a go for me. Said earlier on about your eversion motion. Now that's what happens at your heel. Alright, so your heel kind of hits the floor, kicks out to the outside a little bit, and that is a ground reaction force. That happens as a result of your foot striking the ground. Okay, so in order for us to make that happen a little better, what we need to do is encourage your foot to strike the ground. So a perfect exercise for that is a lunge. So we're going to look at the left foot, okay? And all we're going to do, we're just going to do a couple of left foot lunges, and you can go as far as you need to. Now, if you're having a lot of trouble controlling that motion, what we can do is we can start activating the glute muscles better. Okay, so we can just start a little bit of a reach down. Okay, lay your back flex, unloaded forward flexion, not going to hurt you. Alright, so and what we'll do then is once you get into this motion well, and you can control that dropping down and in a little better, all we do, we just reach a little higher. Okay? So it doesn't load everything at the back as much, doesn't load your glutes as much. Guess you go a little bit more through your calf, a little bit more through your quads, and then we can just go up and reach a little higher again. And then if you want to progress that further, you can go up, have a little look right. Okay, so that little look right, again, is going to take everything towards the right. It's going to actively encourage that pronation sequence to happen. But build it up as a system. Start off small and slow with the reach down. Then we'll increase our reach, go a little higher. Maybe increase the range of the lunge. Go a little higher again. And then to make it hard for ourselves, we could have a little look to the right. Okay, so build these up slowly, start small, start slow, and get into them. Alright, and next time we're going to have a little look at the hip. We're kind of touching it a little bit there, but we're going to talk about how it's all interrelated and how that pronation movement activates your glutes. Alright, so one thing I will say is a bit controversial. This whole glute firing business and trying to picture your glutes firing when you're doing stuff, that is all crap. Alright? Your glutes fire if your movement is good. If your movement's not good, they won't. Right? It is that simple. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you again next time.